Every human society ever discovered believed in something beyond the physical world. Every single one. Explorers went looking for the exception, the one culture with no gods, no spirits, no rituals. They never found it. So here's the question that should bother you. If religion isn't wired into us like hunger or fear, why did humans invent it everywhere independently, over and over again? Nobody can dig up a prayer. Belief doesn't fossilize. But the evidence humans left behind tells a story anyway. And it starts in the last place you'd expect, a grave. 100,000 years ago, in what is now Israel, a child was buried at a site called Kafse, its arms wrapped around a set of deer antlers. That's not survival behavior. Nobody needs antlers to bury a body. Somebody chose to place them there on purpose, which means somebody had already decided the dead deserved more than a hole in the ground. It gets stranger. At Shanidar Cave in Iraq, Neanderthals, not modern humans, Neanderthals, were burying their dead in careful, repeated positions long before Homo sapiens even showed up in the region. For decades, scientists refused to believe it. Neanderthals were supposed to be dumb brutes. But the pattern wouldn't go away. Something in that ancient mind already understood that death meant something. Ritual might be older than our own species, which leaves a bigger question hanging over everything we're about to look at. Why would any species bother? Why would evolution build a mind that invents spirits, gods, and burial rites in the first place? There are a few competing answers, and none of them require anything supernatural to be true. The first is about trust. Small family bands could survive on loyalty alone, but once groups grew larger, that stopped being enough. You can't watch everyone all the time. Belief in an unseen force that saw everything and punished cheaters, even when no human was looking, gave strangers a reason to cooperate. Researchers call this the big gods theory. Societies that believed in powerful, moralizing gods were able to scale into larger, more complex civilizations because fear of being watched did the enforcement work that laws and police hadn't been invented to do yet. The second is about death. Humans appear to be the only species fully aware that its own life will end, and that knowledge can be unbearable to carry alone. A belief that death isn't really final, that something continues as a spirit or an ancestor, may have been one of the first coping mechanisms the human mind ever built. The third is about uncertainty itself. Anthropologists studying Pacific Island fishermen noticed something telling. Sailors performed elaborate rituals before dangerous deep-sea trips, but skipped them entirely for calm, predictable lagoon fishing. Ritual shows up exactly where control runs out and risk takes over. It doesn't need to work. It just needs to make the unbearable feel manageable. And the deepest answer might be simpler than all of it. The human brain is a pattern-finding machine built to assume there's an agent behind every unexplained rustle in the grass. Assuming a predator that isn't there costs nothing. Missing one that is there costs you your life. That bias runs deep, and it didn't stay in the grass. The same alarm system that once scanned for lions in the shadows started scanning storms, disease, and death for hidden intentions too. Somewhere in that overactive alarm system, gods were born. None of these answers cancel each other out. Religion probably wasn't built for one reason. It was built for four. Keep them in mind. The evidence only gets stranger from here. Fast forward to 40,000 years ago, deep inside Chauvet Cave in France. Torchlit chambers, buried far from daylight, so deep that reaching them takes real effort and real risk. And on the walls, lions, horses, rhinos painted with a precision that stunned the archaeologists who found them. Nobody lived down there. Nobody cooked a meal in that darkness. People walked into total black on purpose to make images that only meant something in that hidden space. That's not decoration. That's the first hint of sacred space, a place set apart from ordinary life, built for something bigger than survival. Here's the part that broke every assumption archaeologists had. At Göbekli Tepe, in modern Turkey, hunter-gatherers built massive carved stone monuments 11,000 years ago. before farming, before permanent villages, before anything we'd call civilization. For decades, the theory was simple. Humans settle down, form cities, get bored, invent religion. Göbekli Tepe destroys that theory. These people hadn't planted a single crop yet, and they were already hauling multi-ton pillars into place to build something that looks exactly like a temple. It's possible the ritual came first, the gathering came first, and civilization grew up around it afterward, not the other way around. Once humans believed something unseen was watching, a new problem showed up immediately. How do you keep it happy? The answer across nearly every early culture on Earth was sacrifice. Give something up. Burn it. Bury it. Spill it. Offer it. Early sacrifices were often simple. Grain. Animals. The first catch of a hunt. But the logic behind it ran deep. The gods, spirits, or ancestors controlled things humans couldn't. Weather, harvests, disease, and the only leverage humans had was giving something back. A good hunt got a portion burned in fire. A bad harvest got blamed on a broken offering. Some cultures escalated further, and human sacrifice shows up in the archaeological record from the Andes to ancient Mesopotamia to early China, almost always tied to the same belief. Extreme problems demanded extreme payment. This wasn't cruelty for its own sake. To the people doing it, sacrifice was a transaction, a brutal one, but a logical one, if you believed unseen forces controlled your survival. Somebody had to be in charge of all this. Somebody had to know which rituals worked, which offerings mattered, how to talk to the spirit world and come back with answers. That's where the shaman comes in, history's first spiritual specialist, sometimes called a witch doctor by early European explorers who didn't understand what they were looking at. Shamans claimed the ability to travel between worlds, communicate with ancestors, and pull sickness out of the body. Cave art across the world shows figures wearing animal skins and antlers, half human, half beast, which many researchers believe are the earliest images we have of shamans, mid-ritual. Not hunters, not warriors, but people performing a role no one else in the tribe was allowed to perform. Shamans didn't just perform ceremonies. They became the tribe's doctors, judges, and historians all at once. A single person controlling the group's relationship with the unknown is a strange kind of power, and it's a role that shows up in nearly identical form on every continent, completely independent of contact between cultures. None of this happened once. It happened over and over on every continent, among people who never met, never traded, never spoke the same language. Burial rituals, sacrifice, shamans walking between worlds. The same ideas invented independently again and again. Which means religion wasn't handed to humanity from outside. It grew out of what it means to have a human mind at all, a mind that looks at the world in front of it and can't stop imagining the one it can't see.